David. I hope that you've been having a wonderful week. My name is Matthew Demaro, and this is my first response to our, reading responses. I'm going to be cognizant of the time and try and keep it within that 5 minutes. I apologize if it goes a little over. I'm trying to find the most efficient system. The first question, give me your impression of what the player experience is about. For me personally, at least, I had a lot of issues. I think this play is about perspective, having to conform with the societal needs of partnership and survivability. But I think mainly for me, this story is about generational trauma and spending your life trying not to become the very person that you become. And what I'm sort of referencing with that is Lemelia and Cape specifically. I think it's very interesting that both Lemelia and Cape are very cognizant and powerful, independent figures who know what they want, and even if they don't like to accept it at first, know what they struggle with. And they sort of, I think Cape spends a lot of his story hating his mom, but ultimately making the same mistakes that she does. Not being able to handle her personal issues, having to leave and find herself, and, having to come back and causing extra harm to, a man that she does love, but not in that specific way. And I think, as well as in the mistakes that she makes to, Pascal in the end. I think Cape emulates a lot of those same mistakes with Pony, who we can see Pony, like Glydion and Pascal, gives everything to Cape, like they did to Lemelia, gives everything that she can, even if she disagrees with it wholeheartedly, like we see Glydion and Pascal do with the way that Lemelia asks them to treat her in, very romantic and heartfelt moments. I think Cape does that same thing with Pony by essentially pushing her through the door at the beginning of the story, forcing her into this situation that she feels like she's being pulled towards a little bit, but, she really is pushed in the door. And as the play goes on, she encourages Cape to find himself, struggle against those personal issues, and, tells him that he is more than he thinks he is. And in the end, she gives everything for Cape's ultimate goal, and is still unable to fulfill the needs that he didn't even know that he had. And so, like Glydion in the end of the story, Pony loses her life just when Cape and Lemelia sort of come into it, or come back into it in Lemelia's case. And I think that that's really, really beautiful, showing that Cape becoming Lemelia and the main consequences of their actions actually being the lives of those they loved is such a dramatized and visual, pointing back to our Aristotle points, such a visual way to show how Lemelia and Cape's mistakes, in continuing to pull people into their continued mental dilemmas, ended up being the price they paid. Now I want to talk more on that, but I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go to the next question. An example of a striking moment for me from this specific performance, I think would be specifically when Pascal is talking to Lemelia about how she essentially turned him into a worse person, how he went to church before he met her and did confession every Wednesday. And after he met her, how he started to call her names and believe in overly sexualized ideals, and starts to spread misinformation, or not misinformation, but starts to spread information behind his loved one's back. And And he sort of points it to being a consequence of Lemelia's continued way that she asks of him to treat her, which consequently I think is very striking of how Pony says the exact same thing essentially not a few chapters later, saying that I will do anything you ask of me, even murder. And I disagree with that at the center of my being. But if you were to ask it of me, I would maybe do it. And how she's essentially saying how she's mortified of the new Pony that she's willing to become or has possibly already became simply to help and love Cape. I think that those examples, as well as Lemelia not getting her husband back in the end, how even though the plan technically went off without a hitch, he still is overcome. You know, his wife wasn't enough to make him live. And I think that that sense of realism gives the choices and consequences that Lemelia and Cape make so much more strength and so much more just connection with the audience. At least me specifically as the audience reading it, I felt like I could look at every personal mistake I had made and connect it to my family or how you know how that generational impact can be so there and you don't even know, and you work so hard to try and not be like your parents, and that almost becomes the thing that makes you become your parents. And I think for me, that's why those two sections stuck out the most, because it was this visual, audio, and plot moment of Cape failed. He didn't achieve his goal, and neither did Lemelia. They both stayed stuck in their mindsets. And the last question: what one question would you ask the theater creator? So I have a lot of questions I would ask this the theater creator of this play, just because it was so many different directions, so many different ideas and executions. But I think the one question I would really ask would be how, or rather, why they think, or if they think, if they think the tragic ending, the losing both people and Cape ending up on the bridge again, and Lemelia just being stuck alone at home in her same mindset of never knowing, you know, who is she and what does she deserve? I think, is that ending more powerful, and does it give the message of how we can't avoid our fate and how we have to acknowledge and work with and not bring people down with us? Or if we gave them a happier ending, if Glydion survived and Pony never hung herself and they all stayed together, and we got a little like epilogue moment of like how it turned out, and if you know, Lemelia was just as miserable later in life and was still searching for that fun and ecstasy in other partners behind Glydion's back, but still viewed Glydion with that perspective of actual love. And if Cape would have actually once more forced himself to, as he says in the beginning, go through the measures of showing that he loved Pony, and instead of just, you know, kind of giving up in the end and just realizing that after all this work they had done, it was Pony's dream that they were fighting for. Actually, it wasn't actually Cape's. Cape had already given up. So I wonder if allowing the couples to have gone back to each other and had a few years with each other would that have provided a equally as powerful story of when we never acknowledge our issues and we run from being the people we fear, how it almost always solidifies that is what will happen. And that is the life that we will lead. Anyways, that's just my thoughts. I think having a separate version of if that, like, what would have happened if Gwydion and his wife and Cape and Pony were able to, they got those dream lives together. Would it have actually been a dream life? Probably not. Because you can't, no matter how much you love someone, you can't change what someone wants. And that's not always found in a single partner or a partner at all. And I know I'm way over time, so that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm so excited to hear your thoughts. Thank you.